Now on CoastTV News.
Wind wars. Washington pushes an investigation into foreign wind turbines as Fenwick Island puts money behind its legal fight. Coast closed. Hurricane Erin leaves Chincoteague Beach under feet of sand. Why officials say you should stay. And a final farewell. Delaware leaders pay tribute to Mike Castle and share memories of his life and service.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
The Trump administration now investigating the effects of wind turbines and their impact on national security. Good Friday evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Christina DeRobertis. This just the latest move the Trump administration has made against wind energy. Previously, the EPA ruled that Maryland issued a permit for the U.S. wind project off of the coast of Ocean City in error. Meanwhile, on the local level, the town of Fenwick Island is offering up support in its legal fight against the U.S. wind project off the Delmarva coast. The town council has voted unanimously to contribute $10,000 to a legal fund. That fund is part of Fenwick's lawsuit against the state of Delaware over its approval to bring cables onshore at 3R's Beach in support of the U.S. wind project off the coast of Ocean City.
From a legal perspective, this issue in Delaware is critical. Even if there's a remand of the overall permit, that could change with any administration, and we're right back where we are. But not access, and there shouldn't be access. This is not green. It's not clean. It is not right for Sussex County. It is not right for Delaware.
And Mayor Magdeburger says appeals are coming up in the town's case. As for the Trump administration's move to investigate the national security implications of wind turbines, U.S. Wind has responded, saying it makes an effort to use American-made parts for its projects, including the one planned off the coast of Ocean City. Hurricane Erin has left a major mark on Chincoteague Beach, which is now completely shut down. According to the superintendent of Assateague Island National Seashore, parking lots are buried under up to 5 feet of sand, and the Toms Cove Visitor Center is also closed. Officials warn the public to stay away, calling the area dangerous as heavy equipment works through the storm damage. Take a look at your screen now. This flooding closed down Route 1 Thursday night just south of Dewey Beach. Meanwhile, on the north side of the Indian River Inlet, you can see major erosion. And as Brandon Ferguson reports, DENREC says right now, early erosion tests show at least 10 to 14 feet of dune has been washed away.
Lounging on the north side of the Indian River Inlet.
It's a beautiful day on Delmarva.
A wildly different scene than we got just 24 hours earlier. This was the north side of the inlet on Thursday as the coast was pelted by heavy waves and winds. While the sun was out today and the winds calmed down, what Erin stole from the coast is evident. Erosion ripping away huge chunks of sand and dune. Meanwhile, just a few miles north of the inlet on Route 1, Bayside flooding shut down the major roadway overnight.
DelDOT says they will continue to monitor this area today and throughout the weekend to see if they possibly have to close Route 1 again. Now, if we take a look to my left, you can see where this water is coming from off of the bay here on Tower Road. And now as we get lower onto the road, you can see the consistent current pushing this water down towards the end of Tower Road.
DENREC official Kathleen Bergen says Bayside flooding is unique to this storm.
This storm in particular just happened to have very strong winds that were driving the water into the inland bays.
Back to the inlet where local surfer Elijah Jones got a up-close look at the waves today.
Now they're huge. I couldn't imagine what yesterday was, because if it can come up here and take all this sand away like that, it's got to be crazy. It's got to be huge.
It's not yet clear on how much it will cost to fix all this, and it's not clear yet where the money will come from.
We're working very closely with our lawmakers and our upper leadership to develop a long-term solution plan here.
While the sun is now shining down on Delmarva yet again, Erin has left more than just footprints in the sand.
And that was Brandon Ferguson reporting. Now, DENREC says the Army Corps of Engineers is coming to the Indian River Inlet to do a beach re-nourishment event in September. We'll go now to our Coast TV poll because we want to know what you think. What worries you about this beach erosion? Looking at the results, 54% worried about the cost, 15% concerned about environmental harm, and 31% say just the beach damage. We want to know what you think. You can still vote. It's not too late. Go to coasttv.com or use our mobile app. And on a gorgeous day, it may be hard to remember that a hurricane was hitting our beaches just yesterday, but as Coast TV anchor Madeline Overturf shows us from our Coast Copter below, you can see Erin's lasting impact.
Bethany Beach still closed. Look at the water line and see how the water reached the dunes. Heavy machinery removing sand from walkways as lifeguards keep beachgoers behind barriers. 2 buoys keeping people on the boardwalk and off the sand, though plenty of folks came to see Erin's wrath themselves. Bethany's main roadways, now waterways. Water taking over driveways. And the Indian River Inlet, the recently restored dunes, held up, but you can see a sheet of sand eroded by Erin's waves. Fenwick Island still quite flooded, the bay water taking over streets. It's hard to tell where the bay ends and where the road begins. Cars still struggling to navigate the still high water. To Ocean City, erosion imminent as beachgoers are butted up against the dune line. At the inlet, crews work to move sand that took over the inlet parking lot and repair a walkway on the beach. In Assateague, we caught crews clearing sand as a red flag warning remains. The remnants of Erin, however, not stopping beachgoers who were bothering Maryland's wild ponies on the beach, and if anything, bringing joy to surfers, with huge waves still off Maryland's shore. To Virginia, a house surrounded by water, Chincoteague's dune fence washed away. A wild pony and her foal struggling to wade through the water. Dunes in both Chincoteague and Assateague windswept. You can see just how high the water went up on the Maryland side. As the sun shines and another August weekend approaches, a reminder that Mother Nature has the ultimate say on our coast's conditions long term.
And we'll look now live into the Lewis area and turn it to our First Alert Chief Meteorologist, Paul Williams. Paul, is the worst of it over now?
Oh, absolutely. But we have a couple of other systems that we're keeping a close eye behind all of that. So we're in the midst of the height of the tropical storm season. So we're getting a break now, but we're not done with the season as a whole. Here's a look at what's happening for us, actually, courtesy of our Gateway Subaru camera. Waves are still very active for us, actually, moving across Ocean City at 72 degrees right now. And the winds have died down tremendously, which is always a good thing. Still dealing with a lot of flooding, as you could see. 66 in Rehoboth, 67 in Lewis, 60 degrees right now in Milton, as well as Georgetown, 59 currently in Ocean Pines. All right, so Erin is now moving out of the way, and post-tropical Erin for the most part, moving to the east-northeast, boogieing at about 33 miles per hour. So now it's a thing of the past, and the waves have calmed down, gone down a bit for us. Yesterday we were at 10 and 13, now we're at 9 and 6. So things have gotten progressively better, but we do still have concerns for widespread coastal flooding and the residual effects or leftover effects of Erin. Coming up, we'll talk more about what to expect over this weekend, but for right now, back to you.
All right, thanks, Paul. Well, despite poor conditions at the beach, an event celebrating Jeep culture and passion is happening in Ocean City. A big attraction for OC Jeep Fest is the Sand Course, which is a custom-built playground meant to feel like a roller coaster. A beach crawl on the beach kicks off the festivities each morning, and the hub for the event is the OC Convention Center, where you can find plenty of vendors, also live entertainment, and there is plenty of help for new Jeep lovers.
Many times, some of these people, it's the first time they've ever four-wheeled before. So getting it in low or getting it in high for four-wheel drive, we show them that if need to be. Airing down your tires is a key. You want to get your tires down to about 20 pounds because that lets them belly out, they call it. Gives you better traction. And then and we just kind of let them do their thing out here.
And Hoffman says if a Jeep gets stuck in the sand, they have crews ready to come rescue them. Ocean City Jeep Fest runs through Sunday. Delaware leaders gathered in Wilmington today to honor the life of former Congressman and Governor Mike Castle. A private burial for Castle was held this morning. He died last week at the age of 86. Former President Joe Biden was in attendance today, as was former Delaware Governor and U.S. Senator Tom Carper, current Governor Matt Meyer, and current members of Delaware's congressional delegation. Carper praised Castle's service to the first state.
It's early days in the State House to his years as Lieutenant Governor, and then in Congress. Mike Castle embodied what public service is supposed to look like. Thoughtful, principled, always grounded in doing what was right. Not just what was easy, not what was just popular, but what was right.
Mike Castle served Delaware in elected office for more than half of his life in the State House and the State Senate, then later as Lieutenant Governor and Governor, and for nearly 20 years as Delaware's Congressman. Well, making national headlines tonight, at least 5 people dead and dozens more injured after a tour bus carrying about 50 passengers crashed in upstate New York. As Sherelle Hubbard explains, it happened as the bus was headed back to New York City from Niagara Falls.
This was the scene Friday afternoon along Interstate 90 east of Buffalo. Several people had to be transported by helicopter after the tour bus they were on left the road and overturned.
We have a tour bus with 52 passengers, mostly foreign speaking. We have people ejected and people possibly under the bus at this point.
Police say the bus lost control for, quote, unknown reasons, crashed into a ditch and rolled over.
Obviously, this bus was going full speed. It did not hit any other vehicle. It basically lost control from the median. The bus did roll. There were multiple ejections. There are multiple people trapped, and there's multiple fatalities.
A spokesperson for one hospital say they have received more than a dozen patients.
We have some folks that have some head injuries. We have some folks that have some extremity fractures. 2 patients are in the operating room right now, one with internal injuries that are being managed and one with a severe extremity injury. And then we have several folks still getting evaluated of lesser complexity still in the emergency department.
It's a full-size tour bus, heavy amount of damage. It did roll. Most people, I'm assuming, on the bus did not have a seatbelt on. That is the reason why we have so many ejected people on this bus.
I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
And we are just getting started. Still more news to get into. Coming up, the Trump administration targeting the Smithsonian. What historians say could be at stake for telling America's story. But first, it is Friday, so we have your cool things to do this weekend.
And here's a look at our concern for coastal flooding. We have a moderate threat for this evening going into this weekend. 1 to 2 feet of inundation with low-lying areas, but that's better than the 3 to 5 we had a few days ago. Your forecast is coming up.
If your weekend plans looking a little dull and bland, no need to worry. Even though a few events did have to be canceled, there's still some fun on the calendar. And here's a look at your cool things to do. Things are heating up in Berlin tomorrow, literally, with the Berlin Chili Pepper Festival. From noon to 5 p.m., it's mariachi, food vendors, and competition. Support Children's Beach House Saturday night at the Beach Barbecue in Lewis. Organizers promise Margaritaville vibes and live music. Jeep Fest continues in Ocean City Saturday and Sunday. Bring your Jeep to the beach and ride the sand course or enjoy the show from the sidelines. You can visit CoastTV.com and click on Cool Things to Do for more details.
The good news is we're done with Erin. Yeah, we're just going to stay with good news. It's the weekend. I'm not talking about bad news. Good news. So right now in Rehoboth Beach, we're at 66 degrees and we'll drop down to 63, mostly clear skies. We're at 60 degrees right now. Georgetown, Milton, 58 Dagsboro, 58 right now, Millsboro. Winds calming down, coming off the water, only gust up to 3 and 4 miles per hour, and that's so light, we don't even really count that. Now, we do have high surf advisory that was in effect for earlier, it's still in effect from early today, it's now in effect going into really the rest of the night, and we have coastal flood warning, so we have active flooding that's happening right now for low-lying areas, folks that are just close, anywhere, if you're close to any kind of water, you're dealing with some type of flooding for right now for the most part. Small craft advisory in effect until Sunday morning, basically watching out for 25 to 30 mile per hour winds. We'll look for the same situation from Ocean City all the way down towards Chincoteague and small craft advisory with the winds, as well as all the concerns with flooding, all of those still apply. And that applies for the entire peninsula, with the coastal flood warning in effect for Dorchester, Somerset, and Wacomico, basically all of the Delmarva Peninsula. And I want you to remember something. Remember, Erin didn't even come close to us, over 250 miles away, 100 miles closer, and we would have had even a worse catastrophic situation for us. That's just how powerful and large that storm really was. Moderate flooding, 1 to 2 feet of inundation in low-lying areas, and we're looking for the next tide, and we're looking at that time frame going to be in the evening time, and so we'll have another push of some flood waters likely for us. For tonight, 57 to 62 degrees. Now for the weekend, mostly sunny, isolated storm possible on Sunday. Next week, we're going to cool off. Almost a taste of fall is going to kick in. For Saturday, winds are out of the south, temperatures creeping ever so slowly back to the 80-degree mark. But the rip current risk is still high for us. Rehoboth, Dewey, Bethany, South Bethany, Fenwick Island, Ocean City, all the way down to Chincoteague, at least 2 to 6 foot waves, expect rip currents there. Now, we are expecting temperatures in the 70s. Going into Saturday evening, we'll stay in the 70s. For Sunday, we bounce into the 80s briefly, about 83 for the high. And then for Sunday night, we see a clearing pattern that will occur, and then cooler air will step in behind that. See, when you take a look at our muggy meter, we begin to descend dramatically Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We're in the comfy zone, okay? And then we see the scattered showers trying to flare up a little bit briefly for us on Monday. We clear out on Tuesday. Temperatures are going to be below the norm going into the last part of the week, of the month, pardon me. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Looking good, but much cooler next week.
All right, thank you again, Paul. Well, Kilmar Abrego Garcia has been released from federal custody. Abrego Garcia walked out of the Putnam County Jail in Cookeville, Tennessee earlier this afternoon. In a statement, attorney Sean Hecker began by saying, quote, Kilmar Abrego Garcia is free, and said he was on his way to family in Maryland. Abrego Garcia was wrongfully deported to El Salvador back in May, and he was accused of being a member of the MS-13 gang. The government called his deportation a, quote, administrative error. The State Department has paused issuing work visas for foreign commercial truck drivers. On Thursday, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the increasing number of foreign drivers is, quote, endangering American lives and undercutting the livelihoods of American truckers. The Post did not give a further explanation for the decision, but the American Trucking Association expressed support for the State Department's visa pause this week. It had previously acknowledged a driver shortage, though. President Donald Trump making headlines this week, promising to purge cultural institutions of exhibits and materials that conflict with his political directives, specifically alleging that museums were too focused on highlighting negative periods of American history, like slavery. Lee Waldman tells us what this could mean for visitors to some of our country's most prominent museums.
The Smithsonian is charged with simply telling the truth about American history.
Historians and researchers are concerned about President Donald Trump's push to purge museums of information the White House describes as woke. In a post on Truth Social, Trump wrote, "The Smithsonian is out of control, where everything discussed is how horrible our country is, how bad slavery was," continuing with nothing about success, nothing about brightness, nothing about the future.
Millions of Americans visit the Smithsonian every year, and we don't need the micromanagement and with macro incompetence from the White House.
This latest push comes after the White House ordered a sweeping review of the Smithsonian museums and exhibits, and months after an executive order was signed by Trump aimed at restoring truth and sanity to American history. The executive order states museums in our nation's capital should be places where individuals go to learn, not to be subjected to ideological indoctrination or divisive narratives.
You also see a story of resilience, of transformation, and of democracy, right? The promise of democracy and democracy realized. And I think that's the part that the president really just misses.
Both experts feel concerned about the potential to eliminate certain aspects of American history from museums.
The president is choosing to ignore in favor of this really reductive and harmful version of history that he wants to implement.
We don't need the president or anyone else literally assaulting our culture, assaulting our history.
In New York, I'm Lee Waldman.
Coming up in sports tonight, DSN previews the stellar Saturday. We see how these fighters are preparing to battle in the ring. And coming up, a new COVID wave is here, what it means as students return to school.
Here's a look at the latest with coastal flood warning in effect for Sussex that stays in effect until Sunday morning. Be mindful if you live in low-lying areas.
This is Coast TV News at 11.
A new survey finds that medical misinformation appears to be on the upswing, both online and within the walls of medical exam rooms. According to the Physicians Foundation, a nonprofit research group, 61% of doctors said they encountered patients influenced by misinformation either a moderate amount or a great deal of the time over the past year. 86% of physicians said they encountered more misinformation among patients within the last 5 years than in years before, and 57% said they believe misinformation has had at least a moderate impact on their ability to provide quality care to patients. Well, if it feels like COVID-19 is everywhere again, you're not imagining it. As Meredith Yeoman reports, the CDC says cases are on the rise across the country, and Texas is among the states leading the nation.
With summer travel winding down, there's a new wave of COVID-19 just in time for school.
As kids go back to school, we're going to have to be very careful because COVID-19 will begin to spread.
The CDC estimates infections are growing in 24 states, including Texas, which has a positivity rate of nearly 12% compared to the national average of 8.9%. It says emergency visits for COVID are also up among people of all ages, with a noticeable increase in children under 12, though the CDC says the percentage remains low. Stephen Love is president of the DFW Hospital Council.
You know, I don't want people to panic. It's not the pandemic, but, COVID-19 is going to be endemic. It's going to come back, and we're going to see it from now on.
Love says the current wave is fueled by summer travel, low vaccination rates in Texas, and the newer Stratus variant.
But I think with Stratus, it's since it's a variant and has mutated from the original, that it's going to be much more contagious.
Symptoms include sore throat, cough, fever, and headache. And while the wastewater viral activity level for COVID nationally remains low, the CDC says in Texas it's very high as COVID makes a comeback yet again.
Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
What's going on, sports fans? The hard-hitting action is here. Stellar Fight 68 like you've never seen it before.
We are just about ready for the action here at Stellar Fight.
That's gonna do it.
Get those hands up, fellas.
It's a slugfest right now in the Dover building.
Oh! Yes! Oh my!
Stellar Fight 68 will kick off this Saturday. As these fighters get ready for battle, they have one last test before they can compete. The weigh-ins to make sure they are where they need to be for their division. We got a chance to speak to a few of the members competing, and they said they are looking forward to being in the cage competing and putting on a show in Stellar Fights 68.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an entertaining fight. I'm up against a tough, well-rounded opponent. And yeah, I'm excited to get in there.
I'm looking forward to making my MMA debut, and then also just seeing all the pieces from my training coming together for hopefully a good result.
Tomorrow night, the crowd, ready to see everybody out there. Room for me and room for everybody else.
That all for sports. Have a great night, everybody.
And now here's another live look outside into Ocean City. Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams will have one more check on the forecast after this. We're going to go ahead and check on our Coast TV poll one more time tonight because we want to know what worries you about beach erosion, especially after we see the impacts of Hurricane Erin here on our coast. Not a big change from when we looked at it earlier, but 56% most people worried about the cost of replenishment, 14% say environmental harm, 30% worried about beach damage, and you can still vote. Just go to coasttv.com or use our mobile app. You can see updated results online.
So here we go. We'll take a look out in Lewis, a tunnel razor camera. We're at 65 degrees right now. And we'll have temperatures staying in the lower 60s, but the good news is we're not expecting any additional wind or rain or even heat for that matter. We're going to slide into a somewhat cooler weather pattern that's going to be very helpful for us to get a little taste of fall time, by the way. Now, there are a couple of things we do need to keep in mind. One quick, and I'm going to take a little time on this just for a moment. Lewis, Long Neck, Millsboro, Ocean View, Fenwick Island, all those areas. Listen, we're looking for waves still at about 4 to 8 feet off of the Atlantic, but we're watching out for really 1 to 2 feet of inundation or flooding in lower-lying areas. And so Saturday, 82, Sunday, 83 degrees. Minocco, Holland, that's our umbrella winner from Lewis. Congratulations, Minocco. Call our weather line. Keep up with your forecast. The forecast is just a call away, sponsored by the law offices of Bruckstedt, Mandalis, and Federico. And finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. Still dealing with some flooding for Saturday, going into Sunday, but by next week we'll be calmer and much, much cooler.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Paul, and thanks for joining us for Coast TV News at 11. You can find more news and more local weather on our Coast TV News app. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon's up next, and we'll see you tomorrow for Coast TV News at 11. Have a good night.